Hello, 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 hello. Testing, one, two, three. Testing, one, two, three.
What's good?
Uh,
Hopefully you guys are getting the signal. We'll see some people start to hit the chat rooms live as we kick it here live. Twitch.tv/ the A show. Ali RX first in the chat room. The most
right on. Hello, hello, Allie. How are you doing? Hey, Chuck. How are you? What's up? Mwah. So I'm so glad you guys are putting. I'm so glad Ben's putting the comments at the top again because I'm on my phone again this week, so it's hard for me to see any comments. So if you have something to say, give me a second to try and figure it out. So welcome everybody. Welcome to the A show. So I know we're probably not yet populated, but I'm your host, April Hunter, and my lovely co-host and producer, Ben Hamin.
Glad to be back with you, man. Glad to be back. I see Big Kenny's hitting the chat room. Alex, or Alexa, excuse me.
Alexa,
Yeah.
what's up, B Gates?
Alexa, play reggae trippy beats. Oh, man. War Demon hits the chat.
Hi, Chris.
War Demon.
Hello, hello.
How is Colin? Colin's doing good, man. I mean, Colin's a working man. There's no doubt about that. A family man, and he puts in all of his time managing the pizza joints, and they rely heavily on his work ethic. And a funny dude and a great producer, and I'm sure he's hungry to do something artistic. A good improviser too, man. So. Our best to Colin, former producer of the year at Hamin Media Group. But you got to do what you got to do, man. We're a collective of artists, and sometimes you can do it, and sometimes you got to do life, and that's just the way things are. Yeah, we miss him too. Yeah, I'll let him know in the chat, though. I'll definitely let him know that you guys were excited about it. Maybe next week he can make an appearance with us on our Halloween show. Hopefully you guys are going to dress up for the Halloween show.
Hey, Leo. What's up? Hey, Eva. How are you guys doing? 2 in a row. 2. Yeah, 2 in a row for me doing this on my phone, too, which I'm not super happy about because I can't see much for comments. Although I am cheating. I do have a little cheat here. I'm watching it live. So I can, but the comments aren't coming up. They're only coming up on the screen, but when you put them up on the screen, now I can actually see them.
Yeah, we're on. I mean, there's a lot of people on Twitch, Ape. So you're not going to see those ones. You're probably only going to see the YouTube comments, unless you wanted to log into twitch.tv/ the A show and participate with them there instead of YouTube. We are
tried.
Right now. Yeah. Oh, you tried.
Hi, Scott. Yeah, I tried. I couldn't figure it. Like, I don't know.
AB Twitch can figure it out because
I know. Everybody else can figure it out. You guys are smarter than I am. So
smart fellows here. Maybe call a smart fellow at tech support. He says.
Oh, rum. Jamie and his rum are showing up. So yeah, I know. I do need to call tech support. Actually, my computer is at tech support. I do. It's in the process right now. So that's happening.
Jimbo sending love as we fill up the chat room here, you guys, to kick off the A show. Just a couple minutes letting it load up because we love the conversation with the great A show listeners. Always high level, having fun, respectful, taking life not too seriously, even when we got to talk about serious topics. And, it's going to be one of those shows. Obviously, my girl, the Illuminati hottie, April Hunter, is always checking things out, lighting the world on fire, lighting the kitchen on fire, lighting cosplay on fire. And tonight we're going to, get into some cancel culture talk and who the real heroes are. I'm excited to hear about her research this week. And
oh, man. Yeah, we got some angry people. Yeah, it was one of those weeks, I don't know if you guys had this, but I had like every single day this week was a surprise. And it wasn't necessarily a good surprise either. So we started off with Monday. So when I was in school, and hello, Wolf, how are you doing? So when I was at Full Sail University, And through the last year of that, I guess I had a roommate because it was a 24/7 school. I was really not able to keep up with work. Yeah, exactly, Eva. We're getting to that one. I'm going to try and remember them in sequential order. So I was told my roommate had, oh, this is not a pleasant story, but my roommate shot himself a couple of weeks ago, and his family is in Nebraska. And they asked me to go through his storage units. Like on a Monday, I had to get it done by Monday night. So my friend and I, we went, he didn't have one, he had two. And we were there all night long, sorting through everything and cleaning out. And that was surprise number one. Did not expect that. That's not how I would have thought I would be spending my Monday nights. But it was very weird to be doing that. So I don't know. I was to see his things again and everything. So it was kind of threw me a little bit for a loop there. Tuesday, I was walking the dogs and I see my neighbors go flying into the street. We live in this area that's right off of a wood preserve. And we have a lot of roaming turkeys and a lot of roaming wildlife, like stuff that my entire life I've always had to pay to see. You know, like I'll walk by and an owl will land right next to me and just look at me and his head will spin around. It's all creepy and weird and awesome. But up until I lived here, I never saw anything like that. So in this particular case, again, these were not pleasant surprises this week. There was a large, I mean, these are large turkeys, like they come up to the top of my thigh. One got hit by a car, we think, and the other one was trying to help it along with death by stomping on it and pecking at it, which is what birds will do. And my neighbors didn't understand that. They had been feeding this bird since it was very, very young. And the wife was crying, and the man's like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, I've got my one dog who has a torn knee, so he's in a cart. And I've got my other one who's a puppy who's yanking me. And I'm like, oh my God. So because as soon as I saw this bird, its neck was twisted like in almost a 180-degree angle. I was like, we got to put it down. We got to put it down fast. So, I told them that. I'm like, because it was still alive, it was still flapping and it was covered in blood. And I was like, okay, I'm like, we gotta take care of this right now. And they're like, what do we do? What do we do? And they start trying to call the vets. I'm like, wait, we don't have time for a vet. We have to do this now. So I said, I can go back and get a syringe and do this if you guys are comfortable with it. And they're like, yeah, okay, do that. So I went back and mixed up some stuff and added water and filled the syringe up and went down there and gave it to him. And he hung in there for a little bit longer and then he went. But that was, I'd been planning to go to the gym that day, and now I'm covered in blood and I'm freaked out because I've never successfully put an animal down. And I had a hard time with that with my own birds. I realized I can do that with somebody else's, but not my own. And now I had to get ready for the podcast. This was last week. Wednesday, what the shit happened on Wednesday? Oh, God, it was something. But I had an oven fire too. Well, I'm cooking my food. Normally what I do is I throw my food in there and I go take a shower. Thank God I did not do this time. So my food's in there. I'm doing whatever. I'm probably on the phone because I'm on the phone all the time now. I need to put my phone down more. I'm on the phone probably. And I look over, I smell something. I look over and the inside of the oven is like super bright. And I realize I'm like, that doesn't look right. And I open the oven door and it goes whoosh. And I'm like, shit. And I shut the oven door. And in my brain, I have like this Rolodex going on. I'm like, is this water? Is this flour? Is this hydrant? Like, where do I go with this? Because I've been programmed in my brain, if there's a fire with wax, never use water. Never, ever use water.
Same with oil. Never with oil fires.
Yeah, never. So like my brain automatically went to that and I'm like, okay. Yes, I can use water with this. Pull it back open, dump the water in there. It goes out. And I'm like, oh, because I've never had a fire ever. It freaked me out.
Oh, it's a
and
panic situation. When it goes fast too.
real fast, and you don't have time to think. And it was like, yeah. Um, like 2 days after that, I'm cooking a half of a frozen pizza, and the inside of my oven door, the glass goes and shatters everywhere. So every appliance I've had, every major appliance I've had this year has broken. Every one of them. So air conditioning unit, pool pump, hot water heater, the oil thing in my car, just as an appliance, but still. The fan in my refrigerator, the dryer, everything is broken except for the oven. So yeah. And Thursday was something too, and I can't remember what that surprise was, but it was just like, it's like, okay, we can stop now, maybe.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. I mean,
we can,
Murphy's Law doesn't even apply like that, even, when
yeah.
especially, first of all, condolences again over the loss of your former roommate and friend from college, and then having to go through that and process even that in such a short time. Meanwhile, there's more just life raining down on you. Like how much can a person take? You know what I mean? So I give you all the respect in the world and all the love that you need to know that obviously the whole A show audience is thinking about you and got your back, and
Thanks.
we've all been through those times where it's just like, calm the fuck on, life. Please stop kicking me in the face. Like, what we
Balls.
got,
Balls.
yeah, in the balls, or lady balls, or whatever it is.
The lady balls.
Your pelvic floor. Your pelvic floor is getting kicked. All right, yeah, let's
Yes. Yeah.
flex it out. We'll flex it out for some Twitch bits here tonight, you guys.
Yeah.
You can always flex away the bad Maloika with some biddies for titties, but whatever you got to do, cast it away on somebody else and get your chi realigned and burn some
Mm-hmm.
sage or something. Like I really hope like the pendulum of karma swings back for you this week, and all good things one after the other coming to you after a series of just life frustrations and things that can easily weigh heavily on somebody's psyche, and then reinforced by those types of happenings. It can just be too much sometimes. So
It can be a lot, but it was balanced out with some good. So I'll fill you in. So oh, you got quiet. Are you there still?
I'm here. Sorry, I was
Oh,
just
okay.
they're saying April's damn resilient. There's biddies for titties. There's all kinds of things.
Hey, Fred.
Yeah.
I know when the ladies do it, we're not going to do the titty flex. So the good news is it wasn't all bad. Somebody reached out to me. I'm booked both Saturday and Sunday for Halloween weekend. I'll be in Florida for both, but
Okay.
I'm in Port Richey at a place called Cinema Six on Saturday. It's like a double horror show, and they have some people coming in to do signings. I'm one of those people. So that came out of the blue.
Yeah.
And on Sunday, I'll be up at Leesburg at the Leesburg Square Mall for Late Collecticon. That'll be a Halloween themed show.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and I found out, Shelly, we're gonna do a
Shelly's
Halloween. Yeah, we're gonna do a Halloween themed show next week, and Shelly Martinez said she would love to come on and join me in cosplay. So we're not gonna have one but two cosplayers here for you guys to have fun with. We're going to do like a Halloween history, Halloween facts, and fun. If you guys want to send your costume stuff, we have that email, right? Is it the mailbag at the A show? What am I saying?
You have the mailbag at the A show, you guys. If you want to send it, that's where you can send it to. The mailbag at the A show mailbag at gmail.com. The A show mailbag at gmail.com.
Because we'll put your cosplay pictures and your costume pictures on the show also.
Sure.
Yeah, if you forget that, you can also tweet us at _the A show, and we'll hopefully be able to collect your pictures that way too.
Yeah.
So,
Hamin Media Group, we're easy to find.
Yeah,
you guys.
Hamin Media Group.
Real April Hunter. I mean, we're everywhere plugged in. You know how to find us. War Demon is doing some pictures that he sent you on Twitter too, April. So we always appreciate all that fan art. Everybody,
Mhm.
art inspiring art is one of the best things I really love about all this type of stuff. So appreciate that, you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, War Demon made me a really nice picture the other day that he was where he outlined a lot of the struggles that I've dealt with, and sometimes it didn't hit me. It doesn't hit me the things I've been through until I actually see them or somebody else points them out, and I'm just like, oh my God, that is a lot, isn't it?
It's a lot, and then
Just
and we
you
can
don't have
all
a choice. You just keep
let's
going,
all
you know.
let's all do it together here with the A Show with live watchers. We'll all take a nice cleansing breath in. All that out today. If you guys had a tough day, we do it. Pink Cat 69 says, not gonna lie, the gentleman left looks like he hosts a great backyard barbecue cookout. And
Do you?
yeah, absolutely. My dad prided himself on it. His best friend's a butcher, and we would actually host lobster and steak parties and host for
Oh,
100 of
yum.
our friends, and it was just phenomenal. We'd feed an army, and my crew, the posse, does it. We've got big, huge smokers that we can do full sides of beef and pig in. So you're always welcome to the party. There's always plenty of food and beers going around. There's no problem.
Oh, I would, but I'm a vegan.
Well, we can find something delicious that way as well.
I'm fucking with you. I eat meat.
I make
I
spinach.
love meat.
My spinach artichoke dip is not to be messed with.
I bring the hummus.
Yeah.
Everybody loves the hummus.
Oh yeah.
So you have a story, right?
Yeah.
You have a
I know you got some great vax research, but last week or this past weekend was my 25th reunion of the college improv troupe that I was in. That really changed my life forever and sent me to Chicago to do comedy there before I came to wrestling. And I've gone back for the 13th and the 20th anniversaries. And it's real just important to me to pass on the mentorship that I accrued to keep that going. I just think it's an amazing thing. But all this drama came with it because we actually hung out for like 2 days and I was mentoring a lot of the kids and closing down the bars and having a good time with some of my old friends from 25 years ago. And they were really taken to it, but you could see, and maybe it's just because we're over like older, you're like, oh, they still seem like babies. But when we were doing introductions in the improv group, and it was nothing too over the top, but it's like, hi, my name is Tim and my pronouns are he and him, and hi, my name is Jessica and my pronouns are he, her. I'm like, hi, I'm Ben Pops, Ben Hamin. My pronouns are fucking off pretty much. I don't play that shit. So,
why doesn't anybody do my pronouns are you and me?
Yeah, well, none of them were transgender or identifying as something else, and so now we're just doing some weird opera conditioning. Oh, I chalk that up to okay, that's the institutionalized mandate that's been handed down to brainwash them into that of this is the new way of thinking, and that's how they justify it. Whatever, I got my joke in. So we do the show, and in the show, naturally, not like pre-planning spots or anything, things take references to 9/11, a suicide joke, a dick joke where somebody's humping a pumpkin's mouth, and somebody an audience suggestion about antidepressants. Those were 4 like major triggers during the show, and I guess I was oblivious. I was just enjoying the show. I thought it was a good set, and I was dialed back because as a heel, I'm used to going for boos and bad reactions, right? And these kids just want laugh after laugh, but they don't want to cross any boundaries. And it's whatever happened to Saturday Night Live where they weaponized it as like a anti anything conservative. Like comedians and improvisers especially need to walk the middle and punch both sides equally. Like if the scene takes you one side, okay, but you better be ready to go the other side and beat them down for what their discretions are. So afterwards, we're going to party. They usually host like an alumni, get together afterwards, and they cut us off at the door, like to go, good night, thanks for coming, you guys. We're going downtown, like totally like 25-year alum, the people who started this show. totally disrespected. I guess they were crying backstage, and they're the victims and all this, and they couldn't believe the way the show went. Meanwhile, all the people who came to see us like had a good time, and it was the same thing. But even within the thing we created, this generation tried to do. They didn't try. They did like a cancel culture move on the mentors, and I just think, could I ever go against Vince Russo, Rip Rogers, Al Snow, TJ and Dave in Chicago, or anybody that I've been able to sit under their learning tree and try to make them feel like shit for who they are, and because of some outside factor, the cancel culture. I mean, I'd seen it and I'd seen all the examples of it, but to see it at this level in such a microcosm was like, wow. Like, I
Now,
had to
now you
laugh.
know. Now you know what the veterans in the locker room used to think of us
Yeah,
when
yeah, right.
when we were walking in. We are all wet behind the ears, so ready to do all our flips and all our stuff in the ring, and they're just like, "Oh Jesus Christ!"
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah,
So, I don't know. Like, I'm worried because these are kids that I want to help out, but if they can't see that they're getting out of college and they're insulting the people that could open the doors for them to get, ahead in the entertainment business and jump the line, and they're virtue signaling, and they're making themselves the victim and worrying about all this stuff when their comedy has no danger to it. They're really one-sided artists because they're just going for a joke that's doesn't insult anyone or doesn't ponder any bigger questions or tell any truths.
yeah.
Um,
It's
they're not
funny because it's true.
well, yeah, that's truth in comedy.
Yeah,
As
yeah.
that's what we train out of Chicago. That's Charna Halpern's book, and the truth, they couldn't even face it, and they were. I don't know about if you know how much you know about improvisation, but it starts at yes and on somebody's idea, not no but or why, because that's a judgment call. And they were negating the guy who started the show, who teaches at Second City at the highest levels. And I was just like, in the moment I wasn't, but looking back on it, I'm a little thunderstruck to be like, wow, how quickly the veil dropped when it was really go time and we weren't just in rehearsal. I guess we got like me getting worked made me laugh because I didn't expect to get worked by these kids or the conditioning that they've been put under. But I fear for the future greatly after this experience because they are not ready to deal with anything. They are going to get thrown in the wood chipper of life and not be able to handle it. If you can't take a improv suggestion of antidepressants from the audience to do a joke on it, whew, like we got big trouble right here in River City.
God, I don't even know what to think about that. There's so many ways my brain is spinning. I can't see the comments, so I'm sure people are saying things right now. So if there's anything good, go ahead and put it up. But I mean, part of me is thinking, yes, yes, Ricky Gervais is the man. He apologizes for nothing, and I love that. Part of me is thinking it's a phase and people grow out of it because I was like a hardcore, hi, cool, awesome dude. How are you? I was like a hardcore liberal at that age too.
Yeah.
And as I've gotten older, I've seen more. But your friends are liberals. That's what they're teaching you in school, and that's your conditioning. But eventually, life will smarten some of these people up. It's just the way it is. And I'm not a conservative now either. I'm just somewhere in the middle.
Well, I think
Um,
it's not I think we talked about this long ago. You haven't changed on the side, the line has shifted. Like,
yeah, because I mean, in my opinion, I'm still liberal, but I don't recognize that party.
well, you're logical and sensical with an emotional attachment to human rights to it, to know right from wrong, but that's not what it means to be classified as a liberal anymore. That means you have
Yeah,
to take up every major activist cause, and if you don't, then this means you're that. And like, that's not what I'm in this for. I'm in this for the betterment of humanity, but
yeah.
not at the cost of these fake marketing strategies that are just in the guise of a movement.
Well, the main thing that threw me is to be a liberal always meant that you were a rebel. So you weren't part of the old, good old boy establishment. You were a rebel, and it meant that you were anti-establishment. Um, and I don't know when it switched over, but it seems like liberal is 100% establishment now. They are all about big pharma. They're all about a government says do this, and they're like, oh, how much of that do you want me to do? I'll do it right now. So they were never the group of people that would listen. They were always the one that would say, why?
Mm-hmm.
Show me why. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm not going to take your word for it. Show me the proof. And somewhere really recently, something happened and they switched. And this is sign language for they died. So that,
Mm.
so they fuck off and died basically. So like I don't know what happened, but they changed over, and it almost seems like the party switched in a way.
It does seem like they just flipped it, the
Yeah.
script of what it was and rebranded it, which is what you do with a toxic brand. Just to zero in,
But
I'd like to get your opinion.
just to point this out, this has happened before because if I recall correctly, the KKK was started by Democrats,
Right.
old
Well,
Southern Democrats. So
the
this,
Democrats were fighting for slavery, and it was the
mhm,
other way around, and
yeah,
then somewhere along the lines of the turn of the century, that flipped of who
yeah,
was
they were the conservative ones, and they were the ones, the old plantation and all that other stuff. So, um, the parties have shifted throughout history. You know, they're a pendulum basically.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a couple things in I don't know the story would your opinions on the naming of the pronouns, especially when nobody in the group was identifying as anything
I'm
else.
not doing that. I don't
So
care what anybody says. I don't care if they say that you're a racist or whatever. I'm not doing that. I love and hate all humanity equally. And stating my pronouns, all of a sudden, halfway through my life, now I have to say she, her. I'm not doing that. It's stupid. It's just stupid. I have all the respect in the world for people who want to live their truth and do whatever works for them. But I'm also not going to let somewhere between 3 and 7% of the population change the rules for everybody and
that's where I was trying to
make it
get
uncomfortable for me.
right.
So I'm not doing that.
What
So
is
I that is
who is
reverse
the power?
discrimination. That's reverse discrimination. So that is not equality. So I'm all about equality, but now when you start forcing me to feel weird because I'm not doing something over here. No, I'm not doing that.
I love that. That's what I was getting at. You know, it's like live whichever way you want, but this we will recondition your kids in schools to do this as their opening greeting of who they are. Seems like a very strange power flex to like go, we are in control now, and there's like you said, a huge minority, and all of the gay friends that I have that coming from a theater background, and you know, even not just the weddings. I've been to 3 gay weddings, all men, in the last 2 years. And you know, in the wrestling business, plenty of it goes along too.
Mm-hmm.
Even though wrestling's a little more carny, the guys I know, these guys are all like professional working guys, business guys, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
none of them try and push that you have to treat us like this agenda on there. And I feel that the fact that this is going on breeds animosity between friends, and like they're not the ones that even should shoulder any of the blame. Like I think it makes the gay community look bad that they're trying, like, because you see it going on in just the mainstream school system or wherever it is, that now they're saddled with that, when really they're the ones who fought so hard in the 90s for gay marriage, gay rights, and now it's going too far with like pushing people into an uncomfortable thing where you said it perfectly. It's about equality. Hell yeah. But this is not that.
Well, it's not. It's honestly, it's no different than pushing Jesus' agenda. So, you know, you could love Jesus, be happy, you know, be a happy Christian, whatever. But when somebody starts pushing Jesus, it gets along the he, him, she, her lines to me. Like, you want to do whatever and it makes you happy? Cool. Awesome. But I don't think they realize that pushing the they them is the same as, have you heard the good news?
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
the same stuff. You are pushing your agenda on other people, and it's not cool, man. It's not. Just
If they ask me
keep
that,
it to yourself.
I'd be like, yeah, I did. Giants are 5-1. Syracuse is 6-0. It's wicked good news. No one would thought we were here.
It's all the same. Keep your bullshit to yourself and just live your life and let other people live their lives. It's really that simple. I don't know why people can't just live their own lives and worry about their own shit. I just
Yeah.
don't get it.
We got a
So
super comment here from Obli Aru.
yeah, what
What
he says,
happened?
go
What
ahead.
what caused the switch is that Insta, TikTok, and YouTube allowed to foster individuals to get the attention they did not deserve. It became easy to be important, and now anyone's whims, complaints, and skewed ideas are and must be considered important. Now liberals are
All
it,
about excessive indulgence.
all about excessive indulgence. Yeah, well, it is a look at
Well,
me.
I don't know
Greta,
if that's limited to liberals, honestly. Social media gave everyone a voice. Now everybody thinks that people want to hear that voice, and we're not exempt from that. We're sitting here on a podcast, um, with that exact attitude. So, um, we all. Sorry, thanks, Fred. Yes, exactly. Um, we we're not exempt from that. But the problem is, uh, a lot of us aren't able to grasp that how we live isn't how everybody else is going to live. A lot of people are very controlling and they feel that how they live is how everybody should live. And it drives them nuts if other people aren't living the same way, thinking the same way, and doing the same thing. And that's an ego issue. You just kind of have to
isn't
let
that way
go.
more about
You got to
control
let them go.
and bending
That's
somebody's will? That's way more control
that's
and
very
power.
that's control. Yes.
It has really very little to do with whatever the vehicle is. The he, the him, he, him,
Yeah.
her, she.
Listen,
Just
I believe in Jesus. Jesus is going to save you. If you do not accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, you're going to hell. Because that's how I live. So if I live that way, you have to live that way. No different than I believe in he, him. And if you don't do he, him, they, them, whatever the fuck, obviously you're a narrow-minded, whatever the fuck phobe, excuse
right.
my French, and you don't live right and you're a terrible person. It's the same thing.
When the
People don't
reality is
realize it's the
it's
same thing.
just we recognize operant
Yeah.
conditioning when we see it, and we're not
Eva,
bending to the operant conditioning method.
Eva says challenge them. 100%, I think is right. And Kenny said, yeah, you can read his comment. It's very good.
I simply tell
So
people where my faith lays, and I leave it at that. These so-called Christians pushing God down someone's throat is so wrong. I agree with
I
you,
used to
Kenny. There.
I used to answer back what my birth control was. And they would just look at me strange and I'd be like, yeah, because you know what? Your religious choice and your personal choices are as personal as my birth control choice. But I thought we were sharing all the personal choices right now. So, the sponge.
Sure, why not?
So,
Hey, Sponge Kahuna says at least it'll be warm in hell. I'd say to if they say you're going to burn in hell, I'd be like, hey, guess what? I don't believe in hell either.
I don't believe in hell.
So Freed says no, that we're canceling them all. They're just putting it in. We got a corgi bit and our girl Winona Boop. Oh yeah,
Oh
Winona says
yeah, and
understood.
just
What?
in honor of me lighting my house on fire.
Dracaris, she's going to, and I've got the Baphomet, I've got the satanic Baphomet shirt.
Dracaris.
Yeah. Have you been keeping up with the new season?
Yes, I
Oh yeah,
have.
I absolutely am too. We'll talk about that in a minute, but I got to get Winona's great comment in here. I never understood
Yes.
those people constantly telling people they're doing their faith wrong. Faith is defined as belief in the unknown that's greater than you. And if it's really literally defined as the unknown, how can you say it's wrong? A very logical argument.
Boom.
A very logical.
Perfect. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and here's my whole thing about the organized religion and faith. I just, even though we're in an ego-driven entertainment business, and if people want to make God way bigger than the universe, then that makes me so small. And I recognize that that's my own self-indulgence, thinking that there's some entity in the sky controlling me and all that goes and gives a damn and is watching me at wherever, and that my grandparents are playing chess somewhere in the sky with T-Rex. Like I can't get over on that. But hey, if it works for you and that's your dopamine hit, then get it in you. I'm not going to tell you what not to do.
Yeah, I'm one of those weirdos that thinks my grandma's around me, so hey, whatever.
That's
But
fine.
you know what? The only thing we know is that we don't know. So
Multiverse energy, I'm down to believe in. I believe in the thermodynamics. Energy can't be created nor destroyed. So whatever regenerative properties, I more believe that. But
yeah.
that to me isn't like the ghost of Obi-Wan Kenobi coming back to tell you what's going on. You know, maybe some have that, but that's just not me. But Obi-Wan Kenobi, we need you now more than
So I wanted to talk about something that came out this week, a couple of things that came out this week. And people might be interested in this, people might not be interested in this. I think it deserves to be, mentioned. And thank you, Wolf. I know you never have before.
No, he's very open-minded in the chat.
More, yeah, there you go. Some pack fuxing. So there's a French general put out a letter, which you can Google it and find it, saying that the unvaccinated should be held. They were held as heroes, and basically, I wish I could read it. I wish I had my computer here because we could pull it up. But he was saying never have people dealt with so much pressure from every avenue, whether it was losing your job, social pressure from your societal pressure from your friends and family, and the amount of abuse people have taken and ostracizing and feeling that you're alone and opting to say no to something that everybody was telling you have to do it. He was saying that these are the people that you want. These are the strongest individuals out there, basically in the universe. And these are the people that you want on your armies. These are the people you want heading your corporations. These are the people that you want at your table, that mentally they are the strongest people out there because they did not succumb to what everybody else gave into. And it was a really interesting letter. Sorry, I have a dog hair on my nose. I have a dog hair everywhere here. And it was a very interesting letter. And if you look it up, you'll read it. And it's he himself, I think he himself is vaccinated. And he just, yeah. Okay. You're seeing it there, which I can't read it right now.
Okay. I'll run through this if you want me to real quick.
Skim it. Okay. Go for it.
Okay. So in a powerful letter making waves across Europe, French General Christian Blanchon praised citizens who refused to get the experimental COVID vaccine injections despite years of pressuring campaigns, discriminatory policies, social exclusion, loss of income, threats, and being blamed for others' deaths. The general thanked the unvaccinated for their strength and courage and leadership. He said, even if I were fully vaccinated, I would admire the unvaccinated for standing up against the greatest pressure I've ever seen, including from spouses, parents, children, friends, colleagues, and doctors. People who have been capable of such a personality, courage, and such critical ability undoubtedly embody the best of humanity. They are found everywhere, in all ages, levels of education, countries, and opinions. They are of a particular kind. These are the soldiers that any army of light wishes to have in its ranks. They are the parents that every child wishes to have and the children every parent dreams of having. They are beings above average of their societies. They are the essence of the people who have all built cultures and conquered horizons. They are there by your side. They seem normal. They are superheroes. They did what others could not do. They were the tree that withstood the hurricane of insults, discrimination, and social exclusion. And they did it because they thought they were alone and believed they were alone, excluded from their families, Christmas tables. They've never seen anything so cruel. They lost their jobs, they let their careers sink, and they had no more money, but they didn't care. They suffered immeasurable discrimination, denunciations, betrayals, and humiliation, but they continued. Never before in humanity has there been such a casting. Now we know who the resistors are on planet Earth. Women, men, old, young, rich, poor, of all races and religions, the unvaccinated, the chosen ones of the invisible ark, the only ones who managed to resist when everything fell apart, collapsed. You've passed an unimaginable test that may be the toughest Marines, commandos, Green Berets, astronauts, and geniuses couldn't pass. You are made of the stuff of the greatest that have ever lived, those heroes born among ordinary men who shine in the dark. Wow. Powerful
I know.
language, powerful words from
You know,
him there.
yeah. And, after all the abuse for over 2 years, that's a hell of a letter to read. And, he pointed out things that we did deal with. And it was kind of validating, that somebody actually recognized it. Because
Oh,
nobody's recognizing it. No one's apologizing for calling for the discrimination and for us to be blocked out of, for us to be blocked out of hospitals and shut out of grocery stores and unable to go anywhere or do anything or travel and all the work we lost. So it made me feel all warm and fuzzy inside that somebody actually said that. So I posted it on Instagram. I posted little pieces of it. Boy, did that piss people off. Speaking of people having a problem with how others live. I mean, people were angry. They're like, "Oh, well, the unvaccinated aren't heroes. What about the people who got vaccinated? They're the ones that are heroes." And I'm like, I think you're missing the point here. The point is we've now found out that nothing that was said was true. It's not effective. We're finding out it's not safe, and it
right.
definitely didn't stop the spread. And the unvaccinated were not grandma killers. And all those people you stopped from traveling overseas because they weren't vaccinated, you let the vaccinated travel, and they just spread it everywhere anyway. It was never tested for that. So you just let it go. And you just discriminated. You segregated,
Under the
basically.
guise of many lies and much misinformation to change the narrative every step of the way from 15
Yeah.
days to flatten the curve.
Following the science. So
Right.
it was all pseudoscience. It was all pseudoscience. There's
It's all
nothing
marketing.
was proven.
It's not
And
even the pseudoscience. It's the marketing from big pharma to
yeah,
say we can cash in, keep it going, keep the lie
and
moving.
every study was sponsored because studies cost money. So who is paying for the study? So it's like studies show. Okay, well, who bought the study? Who paid for the study? Is it an independent study? Who sponsored the study? See, that's the problem. People don't ask these questions. I ask these questions. I want to know, where did the money come for that study? But most people are like, well, studies show that this is effective. I'm like, who sponsored that study exactly? Where do they work? Where are they from? Where's that money coming from? So a lot of people just stop asking questions and they just accept. Yeah, and like Eva says, seniors were isolated and they died alone. There's a lot of people died unnecessarily, either alone or they were sequestered from. They were ventilated and pulled away from their family, and they died alone in hospitals, and they shouldn't have been. Um, they were they were left to they weren't allowed to use the therapeutics that are now on the list of being able to be used. You could use ivermectin and hydrochlor HCQ, and they denied them that, and a lot of people died because they didn't treat them with that. They only used the vaccine protocol and then remdesivir.
I'm going to need you to go back and say the whole medical word for HCQ.
Huh?
Oh, just the whole whatever
Hydrochloroquine.
Yeah, boom. All right. Nailed it. I was like,
Yeah.
what is it? I can't get it either.
Wait, sorry. Hydroxychloroquine. There we go. Hydroxychloroquine. Yes.
Okay.
See, I have this problem where I've had quite a few concussions, and I get the words. They're right here. I can see them. I can feel them,
Right
but sometimes I stumble over them and can't get them out.
No,
So I sound I sound like a right idiot at times because
if you would have stuck the landing on hydroxychloroquine, I'm going to enter you in the spelling bee against all these kids from India, because that's a.
I can do it. I can do that. It's in my head. I just can't get it out. I can write it down. I will. Hang on.
Lori says you got it, April. You stuck the landing on that
one. Hydroxychloroquine.
No, I just had to go back because I couldn't go on unless we were gonna clarify that one. I would have got it wrong. That's it. I'll write you a prescription for it too.
Hydroxychloroquine. HYDROXYCHLOR. Wait. AQUINE. Is that right?
Ding dong.
I used to do spelling stuff when I was a kid. That was fun. But anyway, yeah, it really pissed people off, that letter.
I mean, regardless, I think the bigger point is that's some very Eisenhower, Smedley Butler type move, in my opinion. When Eisenhower was going out, he warned about the military-industrial complex taking over all of, and they really did. We didn't listen. And Smedley Butler also warning about secret, American ops of tycoons wanting to do the same thing, and really JFK wanting to splinter these secret agencies up because they had too much, and
bring back the greenbacks and take out the Federal Reserve, which is probably the real reason he is not alive.
Here's this guy kind of making a bold and honest appeal of complete logic. Something that stuck out in that was interesting to me in such poetic verbiage, and boy, I almost want to memorize that as a monologue. I think that's a phenomenal.
I want to print it out and keep it.
Yeah. But it said the unvaccinated are arcs, are Noah's are arcs. So are we now going to be tapped for our blood to then do blood transfusions in the future in upcoming? This is what I think of with that. Like, I
already said that. I've been saying that for a while. Unvaccinated blood is going to be worth a lot. The marrow is going to be worth a lot. Yeah. The sperm obviously is going to be worth something. Same with the egg and the eggs. So, because this brings us to the next topic that's rolling into. All right. So first,
can we just stay here for a minute? But
do
you think that? I know that you have said that, and that's great foresight because that's just the logical, educated thinker you are. Do you think that that's what he's alluding to when he says we are the arc, of having, the last pure DNA, because this is an RNA inhibitor, right? So they've literally changed their own DNA of what they're going to pass on to kids if they can have them, if this doesn't have side effects that way as well. So I just think there was even more heavily coded stuff in that. I want to read through it again on my own.
I wasn't looking at it that way. I was thinking of it more as just pure words, but I don't know. I do know this, okay? And they've since taken this off the internet. When someone passes away and they are an organ donor, what's this? Player says gain of function in a COVID strain with I don't want to hear any more like the whole COVID thing's just so, I'm like so over it, I appreciate that. Don't get me wrong, player. I'm so tired of the fear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We all are. But what I was going to say was, when someone passes away and they're an organ donor, the recipient who was receiving the parts, they're now testing mRNA positive, even if they're not vaccinated. So now this is why they are insisting that recipients be vaccinated too. And I think it's not because just to be vaccinated. I think it's because they're trying to avoid a lawsuit later. It has nothing to do with the well-being of the recipient. It has everything to do with avoiding a lawsuit, because they can't clean the blood. There's no way to clean the blood. You will never know if you're getting vaccinated or unvaccinated blood right now. Whatever you get, if you need a transfusion, you're getting whatever's there.
Right.
You're playing, you're rolling the dice.
Yeah, A
Yeah.
or B positive or whatever,
Yeah. So, I think blood banks are going to be a thing. Banking your own blood might be a smart thing because we're seeing a really high sudden death rate. And people who are denying this, okay, riddle me this, Batman. FIFA was the first sports outlet, or whatever you want to call it, to require vaccination for all its players.
FIFA, also the most known corrupt sports organization in the world.
Yeah. So this year, in this full year, 26 players have died between 2021 and 2022. So these are young, healthy, peak of their life players. They've died, all vaccinated. So that begs the question. You just start looking into it, right? This doesn't include the collapses, the illnesses, the Bell's palsy, the tremors, the Parkinson. It doesn't. It's none of that. It's just people who have died. It doesn't include the myocarditis, nothing. So then I start looking up the FIFA deaths from 2018, 19, 20, 17. So in 2018, 19, and 20, altogether, those 3 years, now mind you, 2020, they weren't playing much because of COVID. Right. But in all those years together, 22 people died. So in 1 year after vaccination, 26 players died. So I'm not saying it's causation, but it is something that should be looked into.
Well, even if it's the number one sport on the planet, right? Like that stat alone is pretty much swept under the rug, where it should be the main story of what is happening with that. If those what FIFA really is, the perfect group of test subjects, young, healthy athletes, and how does it affect them? How many players are in the league, and then versus how many died? I mean, it's a cold, hard fact, but those are real numbers. So
just like Florida was the perfect test subject to see what happens when you leave everything open. And instead, all they wanted to do was hate on everything that had to do with Florida, instead of going, okay, this is interesting. We have one state, basically, I don't know if Texas did the same thing we did, but we have one state for sure that they are staying open and they get an astronomical amount of people in there every year. Let's watch and see what happens. Let's watch their numbers, their real numbers, not the ones we make up because we hate DeSantis. Let's watch their real numbers and see how they do in comparison to, say, California, which is also a large state. It's larger than Florida, but who's doing everything by the COVID book that we just wrote 5 minutes ago. They're doing the lockdowns and the masks and the vaccines and everything. So sorry, my dog's going nuts right now. Apologies.
They want to get into there. This is a passionate subject for man and man's best friend.
So, yeah. So no one's talking about that. No one's talking about these sudden deaths. We had another bodybuilder drop dead recently. We had, Sarah Lee, tough enough. She dropped dead last week. There's 2 in 1 week. Healthy people. She's 30 years old, 3 kids, just died. So, something that is happening this Thursday, I don't know if people know this, and I don't know how aware they are, but the CDC has a vaccination, basically a board for school. And they're meeting on Thursday, the 21st, right now, this week, to vote on whether or not they're going to make the COVID vaccinations part of the mandatory yearly school vaccination program in order to go for your kids. So, because pharma wants their money, and now that adults have said, hey, no more, we already did enough, they might be throwing them at the kids and say, if you want to go to school, you have to get them. So I don't know if parents know that they don't have to succumb to this. They can submit a religious exemption, and most states, except for California, of course, will oblige that. So be
Unbelievable.
aware of these things. So, I mean, it's why you would want to put something in children that has barely, it's not even been tested. Like a normal drug testing process is a minimum of 5 years. It's between 5 and 10 years, sometimes longer. So why are we putting this in the kids?
This whole thing just feels so V for Vendetta, like the
Hmm.
backstory of what happened to society and how they use this. And this goes back to both of our, I think, passions for free speech and to be able to have open conversations. And especially after Alex Jones just got nailed for $965 million just for talking. Um, to not be able to go, what are the origins of this? Who was behind the lab? How did it get here? And ask those questions. And we still got to deal with 80% of this is that and this statistic and that. No, tell me who was invested. Somebody put follow the money earlier. Absolutely. Let's go back to the America's Dr. Fauci and what he's been invested in since the 90s and where monkeypox and AIDS actually came out of the lab and why that lab was made in China. We can't even get to that point of that this could have been a bio attack, and then the numbers for the normal flu are skewed. Like none
Oh,
of
not to mention that Dr. Fauci's wife is he's married to head of bioethics in, I believe, NIH. Am I right? NIH, who
yes.
sends all their stuff to the FDA, so they fast track their anything to the FDA.
But we can't even get like to even have that conversation is no, we like let's gaslight this over here, something else. Where to me, it all starts with putting fear back into those people of what do you think you're really doing and who are you working for that you thought it was good to ruin society for 2 years while you act like you're the savior. It's problem, reaction, solution.
Solution.
They control all three of those.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that is correct.
And
I
it's the
posted.
same as the shock and awe of a 9/11 campaign in order to take civil liberties and civil rights away. In this case, it turned our whole world into our own prison planet so they
Mhm.
can control supply lines further. And fear and loathing are the two biggest motivators in marketing. And that's all they've been feeding us ever since.
It is a interesting collective vibe. So it's something we have to be aware of, I think. So yeah, they like Player says, they create the chaos so they have something to save you from, except they don't try and save you from it really.
Right. They just know that they got you in that
They
chaos.
try
They can
they,
move
they
you.
try and give you a pill to manage the side effects from the illnesses that you're getting from that chaos. So
One
because
pill makes
str
them
yeah,
larger.
stress is related to something like 99% of all the illnesses, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
everything from acne to cancer, stress.
Sure.
So if you refuse to be part of be one of the pawns in this, and you refuse to buy into the stress and the chaos, you know.
And I think that goes back to the general's point in his letter because they tried to put the stress and the chaos. I had to, because my parents bowed to it, I had to miss my father's 70th birthday celebration. And my dad had to go in for AFib, try to like kick his heart over to from defib or whatever it was 3 times, and they couldn't do it. And, ultimate respect for my father, but like, he wanted me to get vaxxed, like for what did you do for my birthday? What do you want for your birthday? I'd love for you to get the vaccine. Like even the pressure from him
Wow.
because of the newspaper generation, the nightly news and all that. And then as soon as he was having heart issues, but my doctor says it wasn't from that. I go, oh, you think it wasn't? You believe him? You believe him in that? Like it's in everybody's home. I'm not trying to play any victim myself here. I'm just saying
No, it's not.
that's my little experience alone. That
I wasn't allowed home for 3 years,
yeah. Well,
and
and you and I are very much the black sheep of our families in that way sometimes, right? Because of our convictions and going with our gut feeling as opposed to going with the rest of the sheep or the school of fish in a certain way.
Yeah, my friend, I remember he did not want anything to do with it, and his grandchildren were held over his head. He wasn't allowed to see his grandchildren at all unless he got vaccinated. So basically, he caved and he got one of the shots so he could see it or see his grandchildren. So I thought that was really really shitty. I remember Aaron telling me he had a couple of friends out in LA, and to have friends out in LA is kind of a rare thing. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, he wasn't allowed to hang out with them anymore because they said, at that particular time, he eventually caved and got his shot. He had to for SAG, but at that time, he wasn't injected, so they didn't want him to hang out with them.
But it's all
So,
it's all a hostage situation. You're holding our friendship hostage, you're holding my grandchildren hostage, you're holding my
my
job
God,
hostage, you know what I mean? Like it
I just
really
read,
is crazy pressure like that.
yeah, I just read that last comment. I was like, somebody almost lost their eye from it.
Yeah, a doctor, eye doctor almost lost their sight. He's Big Kahuna says.
Wow,
There's been
wow,
so many side effects, especially
yeah.
in women's reproductive cycles, men's hearts, and athletic hearts. It seems that it affects men more than it does women.
No,
HIV
the
positive
around
test,
me, the women are dropping dead.
are they?
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
seen a lot of like morbidly obese guys who got it having heart issues that they never had. I mean, like their morbid obesity doesn't help it, obviously, but they're far more prone and susceptible. And the people who were actually dying the most during COVID were those who didn't have cardio and were far heavier. Their body couldn't fight off respiratory issues. So yeah, but again, to me, that's all in the real time. Why is it here? How did it get here? And who invented it? Oh, don't you ask those questions. Why? Because that's who needs to be in the modern day gallows, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I do think that it's possible we might be seeing a turnaround. I
Okay.
do think that people are getting a little bit smartened up to things and they're seeing more. So, fingers crossed, fingers crossed.
I'm down with
Yeah,
that, but isn't the next boogeyman nuclear war? Because they've been pushing that potassium iodine tablets as the new all these big pharma are switching from that to that. So if you want something to invest in short term, you guys see who's making the potassium iodine tablets because
that's what I
that's
told you last week.
right, right. I wanted to reiterate for anybody who wasn't here, and so I could sound as smart as April. I'm just taking her advice.
You're funny. Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe they're gonna switch the fear, you switch the tracks on the train. They're gonna switch it so that we try to forget all about what just happened to all of us and just go to something else real quick.
Because
So,
once they know they can motivate you with those tactics, you just got to
mhm,
switch the boogeyman. At that.
yeah. So we failed a really big test in general. So we showed the powers that be how fast that we will comply.
Mm.
Thank you, Wolf. Mwah. We showed how fast we would comply. We showed how fast we would turn on other people. We showed how fast we would even disown our own friends and family. So they know that now. So they know a lot now. So I think we have to backtrack a little bit and show some solidarity and unite and smarten up. And I don't know if that's just me being an idiot and hoping for the best, but
Do you
I
think
don't know.
though? Let me pose it this way because you make a great point there. But we did show our hand to try and make it look like we're humanity and we respect each other. But that's all going to turn to vitriol when people's have to wear their masks everywhere and things are starting to be proven otherwise from how they are, and nobody wants to look in the mirror and go, you know what, I was tricked, I was wrong. I'd rather enforce my beliefs and make everyone wrong instead of saying it was me the whole time, Austin. As that pendulum swings back the other way, will will they just pretty much not admit anything, and wait for the next thing for them.
Well, I don't think they can admit anything because they drove the point home that it's safe and effective for so long. There's no liability from the manufacturers. They have sworn on pretty much everything that nothing can go wrong. This is the way to go. Originally, it was 96% effective if you were to take this vaccination.
Right.
So we went from 96 to 70 to 60 to 50 to well, it kind of wears off. You're going to have to get a booster. Then the booster wears off in 5 minutes. You're going to need another booster. And then finally, like independent science is coming out going, this was never effective. It never stopped the spread. So I think they're never going to admit. They're just going to keep fudging the lines
moving the goalposts
until other people prove it and say, fuck you, this is the way it was. Like, we know. And then they're going to be like, no, we never really, they backtrack. They're like, well, we never promised you weren't going to get COVID. We said we were going to keep you out of the hospitals. Like, no, that's actually not what you said. You said it was 96% effective and you weren't going to get COVID. And then all of a sudden it's like, let's try and take all of that off the internet and let's say, yeah, you might still get COVID, but it'll keep you from dying.
Right.
No, actually, okay, wait, hang on. You might still get COVID and you might still die, but you're not going to give it to anybody else because you'll be dead.
Right. And at the end of the day, you get a new car at the end.
Yeah. They keep like tiptoeing over like more and more. And what's weird, well, this is the weird part, is people are like, oh, okay. Like they're just like, okay, whatever somebody says, and they just start parroting it. They're like, then they start arguing with each other. Like somebody's like, you'll have somebody bright going, yeah, well, they said it was a vaccination. We're supposed to get it all. And they're like, no, they never said that. They said it would keep you out of the hospital. They said it would keep you out of the hospital. And you're a big, stupid, poopy head. I'm going to block you.
I'm going to need one more guys at the bar saying, okay, drunk, that are sheep impersonation. I need that. That was those guys could be my new favorite character. Can I get another one of those?
What?
Okay.
Okay. That was my you're in the basement in Twitter character.
That was phenomenal. Like I just see two douchebags at a bar. Hey, if you guys want to drink here, we got to give you this vaccination. Okay, bring it in.
Yeah, I know. It's really funny. It's funny hearing some of the excuses to get vaccinated too. Like people didn't want to get it. Right. My friend in Ireland, he's like, I don't want to get it. I don't want to get it, but what am I gonna do? If I want to go to the pub, I need to get the shot. So I'm going to go get the shot so I can go to the pub.
So they'll use your alcoholism to motivate you as well. I'm
like, Sean, really? Like, you can't just go get some liquor and drink it at home?
Yeah, right. At that point.
No, I got to go to the pub. The pub closer to 4:30.
Okay. I was gonna say, because you did make a point of like how quickly they could lock us down, and we played that hand. But I think if they tried to play that again, it would result in the exact opposite. And if you wanted to start the uprising of the people versus the government that quickly, that would be the move that would be made, because I want to say that fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on George Bush Jr. But I
remember that.
Yeah. But I don't know if they could pull that off again. I want to believe they couldn't, and it would have the opposite outcome. What do you think about that?
I'm gonna agree with you. I think they sort of tried again to do that. And they tried to bring back the mask mandates, and they tried to do it, at least here in Florida, where people, even though they like to call us Florida, and we have our own hashtag Florida Man, I think we do still have it's like another country over here, and we do have a rather bright group of people in the state, in clusters. So they did try. When it was weird that the president said that he declared COVID was over, right when everybody was getting it again. Like I had just had it in July. Three of my friends had it in July. One of them was my friend's husband was still in the hospital. Her grandkids had it, and then like literally like a week and a half, 2 weeks after that, the president's like, "Yeah, we're declaring COVID over," and I'm like, I'm not sure that's true.
Triple H has got it this week.
I'm not sure that's true exactly, but okay. Yeah, so and Lawrence made a point. He said, wasn't that whole point to slow the curve to keep people out of the hospitals?
Yeah.
And yeah, actually you do have a valid point with that. So it was like 2 weeks to slow the curve, and here we are, 2 years to slow the curve. But actually, what was happening was so much fear and terror on the news and on TV that people were going to the hospitals over the slightest thing, like a sore throat or a headache, who didn't need to go to the hospital.
Right.
So that was happening. And they were also catching COVID at the hospital too. So the hospital was just a cesspool of germs. And, my friend, several of my friends that were nurses were just like, these people are here, they're scared, they have, a broken fingernail and a headache, and they think they've got COVID. So
and really, that's another great point. They made hypochondriacs out of a lot of normal people who weren't before
yes,
this.
yes.
And now everything you think is, the smallest little thing, like, oh God, do I got it? And like, now you're off to get tested, and which isn't the worst thing, but man.
Yeah, and Lawrence, you're right. I agree with that. It became politicized and divide, and it never should have been politicized. I never understood why it was politicized at all.
I'm kind of with War Demon on this one. 2 words: fuck Fauci.
yeah, exactly. And I think that he was a terrible, terrible representative for heading all of this. It was just, I don't know. I just think they mishandled everything they could have mishandled. I don't even think people are washing their hands anymore. Like that was a one good thing out of all of this that came out of this. People knew how to finally wash their hands. But my friend was telling me he works downtown in the city, and he said during all of this, the trash cans were overflowing all the time with paper towels from people washing their hands. He said now we're back to where we were before. He's like, hardly any paper towels again. No one's washing their hands again.
Yeah, so, hand sanitizer was that was a big goddamn market too, man. Holy cow! But I see we're about getting close to time here. I know there's big talk of recession coming as well. I'm sure we'll be talking about some of that stuff, you guys, and what we can do for whatever's coming to keep your families, safe through winter, to get ahead of it before the holidays. Make sure you're storing away enough nuts for all your squirrels. Obviously it's harvest season. We want everybody to have a safe and happy holiday, but not get in over their head. But I'm excited for Halloween. It's our favorite time of the year. I want you guys to go to April Hunter's OnlyFans, as she's been posting her cosplay pics, and you guys can see what's going on with her, obviously coming up here in the next couple weekends, right? If you're in Florida, I saw we had some, was it Port Richey residents near there. So we'll grab some pics with April and please share them with us. We'd love to see a show fan interaction up close and personal. Absolutely. Yeah. Nuclear winter. Enjoy nuclear winter, as Larry Weaver says. So whatever the fear tag is, like the nuke thing to me is like, what power am I going to have to stop that? Like if all of a sudden everything is gone around me, like, all right, I guess I had a good run, bro. Like,
if there's a nuke, I hope it lands on me. I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
But by the way, I got a couple of life hacks for you guys that might apply to this time of the year. We're having Halloween coming up. There might be some parties.
Yeah.
These are things you might need to know. Okay. Mixing alcohol with Diet Coke will get you drunker than if you mix it with regular Coke.
Really? Is it the aspartame?
I don't know. They didn't say. So here's 4 words to get free alcohol at any party. I've never been drunk.
That's a strong one, yeah.
Yep. And if you're going to a bar and it's totally packed and you can't get service, start by giving the bartender a $20 tip, and you'll get amazing service for the rest of the night.
I agree. I don't even think you got to go 20. I hit the homecoming off with a 5, and I just had to do a wave, and they'd come over, and the bar was packed that night.
Yep.
Sure. Plus, I order in double whiskeys neat, so it's a more expensive drink.
And if it's a house party, here's how to open a beer with another beer. Can you see it?
Yeah, oh yeah. That's a tricky one. I can do it with the lighter. With the beer
Mm-hmm.
on beer, I'm always worried I'm gonna cut my hand wide open.
Yep. So these might be things that you need this week. I don't know, but maybe they'll come in handy.
Oh,
So
absolutely, absolutely.
a few party life hacks. So so yeah, you know what? We should the upcoming show, not this next one, because we're gonna just do all costumes and Halloween facts and fun and witch facts
With
and
special
just
guests.
and lots of cleavage with with Shelly Martinez on the next one. But something right after that, let's start coming up with ideas of what people can do to whittle down, to save more, to put away more, and to cut little expenses to grow their own food, little tips and things here and there. So
well, if you want to grow
trim and
your
trim.
own, you can go to my company horseshoegenetics.com and get the best cannabis seeds on the market. If you want to
That'd probably save you a lot of money, actually.
I want to show you a couple of these, April. My wife sent me these. She's down in Louisville right now, and
What is that?
this is the pumpkin thing that's been going on for 10 years. I'm trying to get my camera to catch. So if you can see,
Okay.
it's Little Shop of Horrors. This one, like
Okay.
these crazy carvings inside of pumpkin, like tiger faces and stuff. So it's a walkthrough
cool.
in Louisville, and just of like the highest level artists that they hire, but a lot of things that you cosplay were in there. Yeah, check out this crazy fish, like eating a diver. I don't know if it's coming in or not, you guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Camera, but
look at the teeth.
Yeah, incredible stuff. This one reminded me of you as well. We've got
with the teeth.
No, Ariel, the red-headed mermaid here as well. So
I love it.
Very, very intricate carving and work where they actually carve down and use the light inside as a lighting and shading effect on there, you guys. I wish this was coming in clear for you.
No, it looks really good, actually.
Forward some of these through to you because I just thought it's something you think was pretty cool. So
I do think it's pretty cool.
No, I love that people take that art to the next level when it comes to sculpture or whatever, and especially using the pumpkin stuff.
I do too. Yeah, my friend's birthday was last week, and we decided we are not talented like that, but we decided to sit around and paint pumpkins this week and this weekend, and it was fun.
I saw one that somebody turned on the side and cut a cat in it, and then the top looked like the cat's butthole, where it was like like when towards it, where the stem would come out. So, I don't know.
It's actually pretty good.
I usually do like a Wu-Tang pumpkin or something ridiculous like that. So I look forward to when she gets back to carving them. But there's like over 10,000 pumpkins there. So if you guys got some cool pumpkin carving skills, share them with us as well for next week.
Does. Kahuna does. Chuck does.
He's
awesome. He's really good at that.
The A Show mailbag, you guys, at gmail.com. I'll check it before we go on. Send us picture of your pumpkin carving extravaganza or your favorite drinks. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we had great drink tips here. By all means, you got any good Halloween drinks that we like to get in us as well. So I was on the whiskey heavy all weekend, so I'm taking it easy on the booze this week.
Yes, and also we'll talk about favorite horror movie. Somebody asked me that favorite horror movie.
Okay.
And we'll discuss that next week, I think.
We got some
writing it down
from Cool Awesome Dude. He's been getting all the pec flexes in. He's definitely into it, and we appreciate anybody who cheered bits for pec flex tonight. Boom, I did push-ups.
I did chest yesterday, and it hurts.
I did. Larry Weaver, we appreciate you, buddy, for being in the chat room with us, and
yes,
you guys, talking about this stuff now that we probably even couldn't have talked about a year ago. Because cancel culture would have canceled you for even trying to go at them, and you couldn't even say the words COVID. We had to say DVOC on Hamin Media. I call it DVOC.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, like I could just flagged for everything. So
yeah,
if the pendulum is swinging back a little bit, that's it. But I definitely salute that French general who put that out. That was an inspiring thing to read tonight, and you guys look that up as well and share that around. That's the type of thing that should be getting shared and will actually restore balance to the force, where the people who have been marginalized, who were unvaccinated, who paid the price for their own integrity, can maybe feel a little bit like, okay, we're coming back to a point.
It's probably the closest thing that there'll ever be to an apology.
Yeah.
No, I don't think anyone's ever going to say, I'm sorry for, saying that you're subhuman and you don't deserve to go to the hospital. We're probably never going to get that. I'm sorry for throwing you out of a restaurant. I'm sorry that you had to cancel all your bookings and you couldn't travel. I'm sorry for firing you based on science that wasn't there. I'm sorry you lost your entire career. We're probably not going to get that. But, that letter is nice. And some people who are vaccinated said that it's just another way to divide us. And that made me angry. I said, I think you're not understanding it. I said, obviously you did not go through what some of us went through. Sure. If you think that that's a divide.
But I also like the fact that here we are, we're the best we'll always find each other, especially at the A show. And it's you and I getting to talk about it at a very high level. Without that possibly happening, would this be happening now? So with every dark cloud, there's a silver lining, I guess, if you look at it that way. And I always feel more enlightened after I talk to you about talking to like-minded people who see it. I mean, you nailed it right away on my situation out of the gate from this past weekend. You were spot on with that too. So even to go through all the bullshit, to me, to have this someone in my inner circle that is like-minded, we always got each other's back. That's a positive thing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm
gonna. For those listening on Patreon, she gave me a big thumbs up. Not a big
yes.
That would be even better if
thumbs up. No, I understand.
You were like, "Fuck you! I hate you."
Thumbs up.
For sure. And,
I know the context where that was, but hey. All right, everyone, you guys. You guys have a great week, and we have a fun show planned for you next week. So see you next Tuesday. And thank you for being here tonight. I'll have my computer next week. Yeah, I can read all the comments and say hi to everybody. So thank you, Wolf. Thank you, everybody. I love you right back. Mwah. Ding dong. Ding dong. Ding dong. Mwah.